Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on just the DC Multiverse and DC live action TV universe as a whole, because some stuff came out recently from an important person that made you go, oh, okay, let's see where this goes. So we are almost back into the full swing with the Arrowverse, with the last two shows to premiere in this like early period of the year, if you want to call it. They're not too far away. We have Superman and Lois, which is around a week away from its series premiere, which a lot of people are looking forward to, or at the very least are intrigued by. And then we have The Flash returning the week after that with its 7th season. Obviously, we're still waiting on premiere dates for the remaining 3 DC shows, but that should probably come soon after the Flash premieres. I think they usually reveal those premiere dates for those shows starting later at like the end of March or early April. So yeah, like a handful of weeks after the Flash starts, we should hopefully get those premiere dates. But it is just the wide future of DCTV that is looking to be very interesting as we head into the next stage or phase of not just the Arrowverse, but DCTV in general, as we now have HBO Max in play in both their own streaming service and their originals, as well as HBO Max being in conjunction with Arrowverse shows and just shows in general on the CW, such as Superman and Lois, and potentially Stargirl as well for this season. There's talks that HBO Max has actually funded some of their stuff, and also every new show made that's going forward. Now, there has been chat that there will be new shows completely co-financed by both HBO Max and CW, rather than just like a bit of money here and there from HBO Max to help with the budget. And both of those shows, or those shows that have been co-financed, would air on both services. So the general plan is that they would air first on HBO Max, and then the day after they would air on the CW for free, sort of like what happened with Stargirl on DC Universe and the CW for season 1. But hopefully it's actually a day apart, not 47 hours apart like it was with Stargirl. But that's still in early talks apparently, so no point jumping into that too much. And I think the first shows that they'd start off doing that with will be like random series, nothing like with big properties. Now, with both HBO Max and the CW in play, the discussion that has come up has been, why can't all these shows be in one place? Why can't they all be on HBO Max? Which I think is a valid debate, though there are a lot of shows that they want to make. They like at any like 12-month period, there could be 10 to 12 DC shows being made. And having them all on one place could be too much, especially when you have to incorporate other series and big properties and everything like that. You can't just have them all airing at the same time or overlapping and everything like that. It's not the best marketing strategy. People do use Disney Plus as an example, though they will never have more than 2 Marvel series running at the same time, let alone one. Maybe there could be like a week crossover, but even then they wouldn't want to either dampen a premiere or a finale with another show. So they pretty much have one series going on at one time. And they are all made by the one production company, that being Marvel Studios. People forget that Marvel Studios is a production company. It's not just a banner. DC has multiple production companies making their shows, from Belanti Productions, the Safran Company, Bad Robot with J.J. Abrams, and even now like Ava DuVernay's Array Studios, whatever it's called, among others, Matt Reeves and everything like that, connected to future shows. It's more complex and widespread. It's not as simple as, oh, why can't it all be in one place? So as I've said in another video about the future of stuff in regards to DCTV, according to people in the know connected to like some of those trades and everything like that, the way they are approaching things for at least the near future, so I guess by that they mean maybe like 5 years or something, is the following. Now just keep this in mind. Warner Media or Warner Brothers haven't confirmed this. It's just what's being said. And as I said, I've said in a previous video, but for those that didn't know, so HBO Max are looking to use as like the home or the place for adult and or mature content. So mature content doesn't necessarily mean it's made for adults, but it has something like blood or swearing and stuff like that. Something like Titans. Like you wouldn't say Titans is an adult show, but it has like blood every now and then it has swearing. So that's like HBO Max is for Titans. But an adult show is something like maybe like Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol's fairly adult, and then like Peacemaker that's coming up. And then also they said anything that's like direct film spin-off. So like Peacemaker again, and also Gotham PD, the Batman spin-off, and even just like extremely high budget stuff, such as like the Green Lantern show, which is going to cost a lot. And then the CW is going to be the home for the family-friendly / young adult content. So anything that a family could sit down and watch, anywhere from your mum and your dad down to your 8-9-year-old brother or sister or cousin or whatever it might be. So your stuff like The Flash, Superman and Lois, etc. So that's where it would lie. and young adult is like maybe like Naomi. Naomi does fall into that young adult sort of genre. But this does bring up another question when we go to like the CW stuff, because the stuff on the HBO Max stuff we know isn't in the same universe. Like they don't interact. Like even Titans and Doom Patrol are meant to be on different Earths. They're not on the same Earth. So with the CW, is that going to be different? Is everything on the CW going to be connected? Is everything on the CW Arrowverse related? And the answer to that is no. Stargirl at the moment isn't exactly Arrowverse as of yet. Who knows if they will connect it? There's been talks about a crossover. If not, they're really trying to push that, which I might do in another video and go over details that have come out in regards to that, because this isn't the time or place for that. But even that, they haven't confirmed Stargirl. But then, of course, we have Naomi coming. Now, Naomi, which in other interviews around that we'll go over an interview in a second, but there's some other interviews that were brought up where it was insinuated that Naomi is now a new branch of the DC multiverse on the CW. It's not Arrowverse related. It could somehow connect because it's multiverse, but it's not directly associated. It won't take place on the Arrowverse's Earth Prime. So this is the first modern day DC show on the CW that's also not affiliated with Greg Berlanti. It's made by Ava DuVernay's Array Studios, or Array, whatever it's called. So it has no affiliation with Berlanti Productions, which is the first for anything past Arrow, which is pretty insane. And that was sort of a hint that maybe they weren't, that it wasn't going to be connected, but it's multiverse related shows, so maybe it could still do that. So it'd be interesting to see what they do there. But it'd be interesting to see if it starts off a new branch, or it's a fork in the road for what's on the CW, and they go that way. And there's still some stuff on one side, but in the Naomi side, there's some other stuff going on there as well. But that's sort of a wait and see in regards to all of that. Now, there has been this discussion that people think that DC is confused with the multiverse and doesn't know what they're doing. And I think it's sort of the opposite. I mean, with Crisis on Infinite Earths, they literally showed everyone on primetime TV what their plans were for the future. Like they laid it out with all these cameos and everything, especially towards the end. The multiverse that's been established there connects everything while allowing them to also just tell their own stories, their own individual stories, and only really come back to them and connect them all when it suits them, or connect the information that's provided when it suits them, which relates to not only the TV stuff, but also the movie stuff. Like you have that Joker movie, which is just its own thing that's just going to sit there on another Earth. And if they want to come back to that and use Joaquin Phoenix as Joker in a connected movie, they can do that. They can do some multiverse stuff there or connect it all. It's up for them. So they can do all this multiverse stuff, create these cool individual stories that just rely on like the individual storytellers and directors or whatever they might be, and then connect them when they need to, which I think is a smart strategy, because I think as soon as you try to be overly connective, people are just going to call you Marvel copycats, even though you're not, you're just doing the comics. But I think you create a different market for people, and I think it's actually maybe a smarter strategy. Now, in regards to this multiverse, is Flashpoint, the Flash movie, which is about to start filming, is that the next stage in that? And I have to say yes. I think that's going to use some stuff to either tie up some details, so maybe like finishing off that Crisis cameo from Ezra Miller, as well as setting up the future of what they want certain characters to be. So it'll be interesting to see what Flashpoint does, and I think it is like the next stage in building that multiverse, but I don't necessarily it's going to completely flesh it out. I think they'll do that in some other stuff that they have planned in the future. Now, in regards to that interview I was sort of referring to, the TCAs were over the past week or so for HBO and HBO Max and their upcoming content slate, and there were a bunch of different interviews, but I chose a portion of an interview from The Wrap about DC stuff going forward, as it probably has the best response that included the most details. But anyway, it was Casey Bloys, who's like the chief of content for both HBO and HBO Max, and he said this on The Wrap. The first show up for HBO Max for DC will be Peacemaker with John Cena. That'll be a good example of what Max can do with DC, producing at a more highly elevated level, probably more like the movies than what the CW is doing. But one of the things I could say about DC overall is Warner Brothers chairman Ann Sarnoff, or Sarnoff? I thought it was Cernoff. Anyway, Ann Sarnoff, a big goal for her is to really organize and coordinate the DC offering. In the past, with the CW, DC would run the CW, Warner Brothers would do films, but there wasn't a lot of overlap or coordination. And a big thing going forward for Warner Media and DC specifically is having everybody involved in DC talking, so that a show on Max is aware of a movie and is aware of a CW show. And they're all kind of working in concert so that there's nobody overlapping. There's no stories that don't make sense as a result of that. So they've been trying very hard to get that going. So obviously it's not Casey Bloys' job to be in the center of controlling what's going on with DC, as he is just only involved with the HBO and HBO Max side of things. However, they have been talking up like the synergy between all the properties or the destinations for the DC properties and connecting them in a meaningful way when needed. That's the most important thing to remember there, when needed. Pretty much most of the interviews outside of this one with the Wrap also mentioned like the synergy and constant talks around connection to the DC universe and making sure that, each of them is aware of the other. But it's pretty clear that they want to use the most popular versions of a certain property and push them forward and make sure that everything feels connected. Sure, if something's crap, they're not going to go out of their way to connect what's crap to something that's good. They're not going to go, like if something's on its way to being cancelled or something or ending, they're not going to go out of their way to try and connect that, I think. But if there's something popular there and it's worth connecting and it's worth connecting when needed, they will do that. So I think that's why you're going to see stuff like the Flash crossover, at least specifically Grant Gustin's Flash crossover with the movie. It's hard when you get into like the HBO Max side of things because it's a different service. That deal with Netflix with the CW is sort of going to make a bit of issues going forward for at least the next few years until it finishes. But then you just have the general other DC TV shows as well. Like I'm sure people wouldn't mind seeing like the Nightwing from Titans maybe meeting like Robert Pattinson's Batman or something along those lines or whatever it might be, any sort of combination. And they can do certain things that stand on their own but are still multiverse related. They just got to make sure it's clean and they don't cross over or like step on each other's feet, which has been an issue in the past when, as Casey Bloys does bring up there, when the CW was doing stuff and Warner Brothers Pictures was doing stuff, CW had to remove characters sometimes or not be able to use them anymore, like Deathstroke, like the Suicide Squad, because the movies were using them, which was frustrating as an Arrowverse fan as well, because they were better interpretations of the characters in some cases. So anyway, we'll have to wait and see what happens. There's still a long time, I think, there's probably still a couple of years until we see all of this properly play out, because I think the Flashpoint movie is the first step in that, and that's still like a year and a half away, if not 2 years away. Who knows if they're going to move it again because of COVID, but we'll have to wait and see what happens, but I'm looking forward to it. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions on what you went over. Are you looking forward to the future of the DC Multiverse? Are there any characters from the Arrowverse you'd like to see pop up in the movies or crossover with a certain show or vice versa? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.